All right. We are live.
We are.
Yes, we are.
We are live. Yeah, 10 seconds in. All right.
Yes.
This theme song is like breakfast. It always reminds me. It reminds me of cereal. That's what I think
Banjo
of.
Kazooie.
Yeah, like
cereal.
early morning.
Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Soundbooth Theater live.
Very refreshing to start with that. How is everybody?
Ooh.
What about you, Joe?
Let's
How are you feeling?
Start with Joe.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty wonderful. I'm happy to be here, honestly.
Hey.
I'm happy to have you.
We're happy
What
to
about you,
have you.
Justin?
I'm feeling great. Feeling fantastic. I went to Canada's Wonderland today. Had a wonderful time. Canada's Wonderland, for those of you who aren't Canadian, it is a theme park located just north of Toronto, and there's big rides there. Used to be Paramount Canada's Wonderland, and now it's not. Anyways, that's what I know about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Was there with Harlan, Joe from Invictus? Oh, yes. Our friends, our live studio audience approves. And Henry was there, little Henry as well. So we went on a lot of the kids' rides, and yeah, I know. He was adorable. Yeah. But that was me. How about you, Jeff? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just recovering from a weekend in Colorado.
Oh.
Yeah. My buddy Mike Fenton just got married.
Mike Fenton.
Yes, he's a really good guy. And it was a super fun weekend. Stayed in some cabins, hung out like literally the reception of the wedding was on my back porch at this place. Like I just walked outside and there's the reception, and so we all got absolutely trashed.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So good. Oh, and the mountain air, dude. I'm cured. Like I'm not coughing anymore.
That was it.
Yeah, I think that was it. It's just here in Kansas City, it's so humid.
Yeah,
combined with like this cottonwood tree that's right across the street from me. I think that just messed me up really bad. And so I just didn't have a break from that stuff, and I wasn't able to recover from my initial like upper respiratory infection. So it just kept getting irritated. But in Colorado, the air is dry. Very clean. It feels so good to breathe that air. And I was there for like 3 days, and I'm cured now. So
you're cured. You can
cured.
narrate again.
I can narrate again. I have been narrating. This week I've been narrating. Getting some dinosaur dungeon done. Getting some dungeon crawler Carl done.
Ooh,
so yes,
book 4.
Book 4 is on its way, guys.
It's pretty excellent.
So who's
exciting.
Here? Who is here in the audience?
Good question.
Said hello already.
We have Rosa White. Hello, wonderful people, to you. Facebook user is back again.
Dude, I love
Our
that
favorite.
guy.
I love Facebook user. Yeah, that guy.
Good guy.
Red Jaws Thunder is here. Red Jaws Thunders.
Haven't seen them before. Thank you for coming, Red Jaws Thunders. Phoenix Overburn. Phoenix Overburn. That sounds like Final Fantasy or something.
Phoenix Overburn.
Yeah.
It's a limit break. It's a limit break.
I see.
Yeah.
Facebook user also commented on Will Watt's performance as Zilla in Mortimer. Yes, Will Watt did a fucking excellent job. Thank you, Will. Tori Wilson is here.
Hello, Tori.
Nest Lane. I don't think I've seen Nest Lane before. Glad to have new people here. SHL. What is SHL 5?
Shoal.
Right, of course. Shoal.
The Shoal sound. Shoal 5.
This box is gonna do some hero legends.
Some hero
5.
legends. Fine. Great. All right. So Nix, haven't seen you here before. Thanks for coming.
Hello.
Garfield.
Yes, we remembered your name.
All right. Remy Lantine.
Take a message.
Remy Lantane, I don't think I've seen you here. We have a lot of new people here today.
Lots of new people.
Awesome.
Where are you all coming from?
Yeah, you guys.
Some of these people are my fault.
Stonehaven
You're
League.
welcome.
SHL is Stonehaven League. Okay. So yeah, everyone who's new here, please tell us in the comments how you found out about us. We got Bradley Ouellette. Tony T. Thank you guys for coming. And Daniel Garza. I don't think I've seen him before.
Danny G. No, Danny G is new.
Ness Lane is not new. So
Ness Lane is
I recognize the name.
I didn't. So I apologize. Ness. I did not mean to call you out as being.
Well,
coming back.
Yes, and of course, if you are watching this and you haven't left a comment yet, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, say hello. Drop a comment in. Join the conversation. There's a lot of beautiful, lovely, cool people in here today that would love to get to know you. So myself included. So come and hang here. Come and
the end of Morningwood. The end of Morningwood. Like
it just means it's afternoon.
But
okay, so
Lance,
I am
Lance
curious.
Washburn, hello.
I am curious, Facebook user.
Our
The end.
it.
Did you actually mean the end of book 1, or did you mean like an Everybody Loves Large Chests book brought you here? Because I don't remember us doing any.
We didn't do special credits.
Oh, okay. So Boxy 4 through 6. That's what I thought.
Okay, gotcha.
So thank you guys so much for coming. Red Jaws Thunders. Did we already hear from them before?
Yes,
yeah, okay.
yes,
All
of
right,
course.
so...
Baz Sato. One quick thing. Just got to say, for like the 100th time, I love you guys. Whenever I see all caps, I assume it's Arnold talking. I love you guys. You guys just make my escapes into books awesome.
Yes.
Very nice. Looks like Phoenix Overburn found us from William D. Aaron's books.
Oh, wow.
Such a long time since I've done Billy D book is what I like to call him.
Billy D.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that's old school. Thanks for coming, man. Thanks so much. Well, we have an awesome show for you today. Real quick, we're gonna go through the news. It's actually gonna be a shorter show, but it's gonna be like double wide for our anti-hero Chronicles section, which Deprof is the author behind, by the way. Thank you again, Deprof, for giving us all this wonderful content to do live. But
You're
real
welcome.
quick, the news. Justin, what do you got for us?
Well, we've got Cloudy with a chance of Dungeons and Dragons in the... Actually, funnily enough, I reached for a stack of papers to do that bit. It is actually a Dungeons and Dragons character sheet that I have. That's what they're actually... That's what the news anchors are actually organizing. They were all just playing D&D around before the camera started rolling.
Gotta get my notes together, guys.
Yes, what do we have for news? That is a great question, and I have it open somewhere on some tab.
All right, let me try.
You give it a shot. I just
Everybody loves Large Chest 6.
Hey!
Mortimer finally came out last week. Was it
smokes.
Friday? Of course, it came out the day I had to go on vacation. Right?
That's not even on our list.
Like it's not. It's right there. I'm looking at the newsletter. I don't know what you're looking at.
Oh, I'm looking at the list. Anyways.
The list. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Mortimer, Everybody Loves Large Chests. I know y'all have been waiting for it. Go get it. If you didn't know it was out, what's wrong with you? Go get it. Will Watt it's his first Everybody Loves Large Chests. He did a fantastic job. Justin Thomas James comes back as Reggie. Annie Ellicott as Kira, and the rest of the awesome female characters that came after book 3. So yeah, definitely go get that, guys. Definitely. What else we got, Justin?
Right, well, don't forget to like and subscribe. I speak on a regular basis. I don't need to worry about enunciation anymore.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. You know what I'm trying to say. Dungeon DCC4 Comic Con.
Oh,
is this a thing we're talking about?
Comic Con? Yeah. So I will be going to the Rose City Comic Con to hang out with Matt Dinneman, author of Dungeon Crawler Carl 4 and 3 and 2 and 4.
Not one though. Not 2. He specifically didn't do 2. Book 2 was ghostwritten.
Yeah, book 2 was what's his name? Ryan Johnson.
Oh yes. There we go.
Then they were like, no, we gotta take it away from that guy. No, but Rose City Comic Con, there's gonna be a Lit RPG panel. I will be on that panel with James Baldwin of Alchemy Online, and Matt Dinneman, and Jay Boyce. I think Jay Boyce is coming.
Hey,
and there's a few other people. There's
Awesome.
a few other people that are going to be on the panel. So look up Rose City Comic Con. If you guys are in the Pacific Northwest area, you might want to come and say hi. And if
you're not, fly in.
Yeah,
Let's go.
We can do that now.
No, don't do that. But if you guys see me there at the Comic Con, come say hi. Say, hey, I saw you on this YouTube show. I don't know what it was called, but it was pretty cool.
It's
I'll
pretty
be
rad.
like, oh, it's called Soundbooth Theater Live, and you'll be like, oh yeah, of course.
Oh, hey, Jim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chances are anybody watching this right now doesn't know the name of the show that we're putting on,
Pretty sure.
Yeah,
but would be
definitely.
at the
Alright.
convention. Also, I just want to say, Lit RPG is a huge genre. It's growing every day. We want to shine the spotlight on a very special book, a book that is really, 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 really just doing amazing. It is called I Was Reincarnated as a Farmer.
Great.
Jeff, do you want to take over? I mean, you've got a good connection here.
Yeah, well, I just, I wanted to give a shout out to Benjamin Cray because he's doing a fantastic job. I mean, like it's
Book, right?
His first book, and it's almost got 2,000 ratings on Amazon.
Fucking incredible, and the cover is amazing. The cover is done by the same artist who did Dungeon Crawler Carl.
It is.
Yes,
I
it
didn't
is.
know that. Thank
known
you for
fact.
that piece of trivia.
You're very
Yep.
welcome. It's right
but
here
yeah.
in my D&D notes.
I don't know. Just wanted to give that guy a shout out because he's just killing it.
Killing it, Ben.
It's not really
Killing it.
news, but it's just if you guys haven't read it already, I'd be surprised. But
Yeah, it's just for the quiz at the end.
So, you wake up in the morning, you make yourself a cup of coffee, and you sit down with it. You're sitting, on the porch or whatever, and you start to go onto your phone. You go to your usual haunts. You got your Facebook, you got your Instagrams, you got your Google, you got a bunch of sites that we just won't mention right now. But let's add one to your daily perusal or even weekly perusal, one that you should come back to on a regular basis. A little known website called www.soundbooththeater.com. We got a lot of great content on. I know. That's the name.
Great.
I know. It's. I don't know how we came up with that brilliant name for this website, but you can find all of the audiobooks that we produce there. Some of them link you to Audible, our Audible stuff, and some of them are Soundbooth Theater Direct. And we have a number of titles that are available right now for the whopping, giant, crazy sum total of $0. Yeah.
no dollars.
No
An absence
dollars.
of dollars.
Literally not a cent needs to be spent on these because this is our way of engaging with you guys, our fans, our community, listeners, new people, old people, young people, not even born people. I mean, put the headphones around your baby bump. Why not? So go check out the website, download our app, Soundbooth Theater, check it out, and start listening without spending a dime.
$0.
$0.
You could even
Why not?
do that one trick where you like fart in your hand and wave it toward us and be like Merry Christmas, and you'd still get the audiobook.
You'd still get the audiobook.
That we would accept
Yeah.
that currency.
We accept it.
Except human-made methane as currency.
Yes.
I mean, that's not my favorite flavor of free, but it still is.
It's true.
Yes. All right.
Among the things you can find on the website, I will say, are some incredible, really meticulously created audio dramas. And not all of them are free, but they're very affordable as well. Stars Have Eyes. Stars Have Eyes is available. Parts 1 through 3.
Part 4 is episode 4 is coming in 2 weeks from today.
Guys,
August 5th.
you are used to listening on Audible. You're used to hearing maybe a narrator and a counterpart actor, or maybe some multicast. You are not used to hearing audiobooks like this. Full sound effects, full music. Jeff, Annie, the Soundbooth Theater people. I mean, this is amazing stuff. I mean, maybe you are kind of used to it if you listen to.
I love how the bell is short circuiting. Yes, so cool. Yes, oh my god, so cool. Yeah. So today we had one particular free release. That was Fabricated Dreams by Timothy Brian Brown. Fabricated Dreams by Timothy Brian Brown. This is part of The Last Parsec, which is a series of short stories by Pinnacle Entertainment. Ooh. So if you guys don't know Pinnacle Entertainment, they created the Savage Worlds tabletop RPG system. Deadlands is the big one from there, but they just recently launched a Savage Worlds of Pathfinder. And The Last Parsec is a sci-fi version. We already did the whole Necessary Evil series, so go check those out as well. Those aren't for free, but they're very cheap. You can go check those out. And for free, Fabricated Dreams. Go get it. Gary Furlong narrated it. Annie Ellicott was his counterpart. And I believe really 2 weeks from today we have mine, the one that I narrated, and then Annie also backed me up on this one.
Yep. 2 weeks from now.
What's it called?
Every 2 weeks. Oh, How the Life Goes On.
Yes, How the Life Goes On. Just watch out, guys. We are pumping out free content every week, pretty much. Is something coming out next week?
No,
nothing next week. Nothing next week. 2 weeks from now, we have two things: A Last Parsec and another episode of Neven Ilyev's The Stars Have Eyes. So again, guys, just go to our website, pick up some stuff. Another thing that you guys should be picking up is Origin by Aaron Oster. That is book 3 of the Land of the Elemental series. Unfortunately, the first 2 are no longer on our platform. They're on Audible. And book 3 is going to be off the platform in 2 weeks as well. We want to bring everything back to the platform eventually, but this is just too popular of a series for us to not put it on Audible. So we decided to do that. We decided to do that for Aaron. He really wanted us to do it. So of course we were going to. So Origin will be back on it will be on Audible in 2 weeks. So if you want to get it for a cheaper price for just $10, come to our website, download it from soundbooththeater.com, purchase it there. Okay.
And of course, and I do also want to say, you say it.
No, you say. I have no idea what the hell you're going to say. So.
Oh, I was going to say also check out Space Buns. There isn't a new one coming out next week, but episodes 1 through 3 are available for a very affordable price. And you will, when you listen to episode 1, you'll know exactly why it's a very affordable price, because it is, again, very meticulously put together and phenomenally acted, if I do say so myself. And there's nothing like it that I've ever heard. Each episode features a uniquely created and produced and performed original song, written by Annie, right? For the most part.
Yep. Annie wrote everything as far as the music. She composed
the lyrics. It blows my mind.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah. So definitely at least check out episode 1, and if you like it, 2 and 3 are there for you.
Last thing, we have Song of the Depths coming to Audible any minute now. We submitted Song of the Depths long before we submitted Mortimer, and still it's not out. This is Bonnie Price's newest audiobook. I don't know why it hasn't come out yet, But just keep an eye out, guys. This is Song of the Depths. The second book we've done with Bonnie. It's a completely different series. It is a bit of it gets tiny bit naughty. It's kind of reverse harem, but it's really cool. It's a really interesting concept, and they get some naughty aliens, and it's just a good time. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And are you guys ready to get started on the Anti-Hero Chronicles?
Yes, of course I'm ready.
All right,
yes.
so for the first time, we are featuring Mr. Joe Deprofio as a cast member because
Joe.
our actors are all.
Hey, what are you doing with that gun in your hand?
Oh, what the fuck?
Nothing.
I'm sure you never get that.
Yeah. I used to get I was serenaded that way every time I walked into work at this one restaurant that I worked at by a friend of mine. And I'm sure you'll appreciate this. I've always gotten along with people that have the same middle name that I do. His name was Thomas Joseph.
You get along with my cousin.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, Andrew Joseph.
So just every time I walked in, you'd go, "Hey, Joe," and I'd be like, "I don't have a gun. You don't need to sing that at me." And then we would, make food for the entirety of the day. It was great.
Sounds amazing.
It does sound good. Okay.
Why wasn't I invited?
All right, here goes our double wide episode of Anti-Hero
All right.
Chronicles. Let's do this.
Well, hold on here. Hold on. Not ready. I'm not ready. But ready, master.
All done.
Job's done.
Job's done, yeah.
Zug. We're being attacked. Okay. Episode summary of Anti-Hero Chronicles.
Wait, do we need to read?
Do we need to read that?
I don't think we do this. We never do this.
Oh, okay. Never mind. The summary.
Episode 4.
Listen to the other episodes available on YouTube. That's your summary. Freefall, the Momentum Hero. Real name, Tyler Snow. Ranked 11th in the National Protectorate. Former Air Force fighter pilot, whose unusual tolerance for G-force led to his testing for the genetic supermarkers, put him on the front lines of the 2050 conflict in the first version of his crash suit. A marvel of engineering and calculus, the suit contained more gyros, hydraulics, and circuitry than the most advanced bombers, and almost as much steel. Designed to be a non-lethal, plenty of henchmen and villains met their end to the sheer amount of force put out by both the crash suit and Snow's innate power, the control and manipulation of his own momentum. According to his file, the only drawback, the only weakness Freefall had, was generating the initial momentum from a dead stop. What wasn't in Tyler Snow's file was that he was the hero whose notion of glory and justice led him into an extended battle with Thorn Titan on Sorley's block, toppled the building that he lived in, and killed his mother. As far as he was concerned, anyway. 12 years in the sham that was the GSO-sponsored foster system, the obsessive training and study, the honing of his powers, all because of Freefall's arrogance. That's what Sorley should have been focused on. Revenge.
Consider me impressed. I didn't think you'd be able to drive Atreyu off with flailing, inspired as it was.
Sorley shook his head, grateful that the domino mask and suit hid the stupefied look on his face. What do you want? A wave of heat pulsed over the rooftop, vaporizing the remaining snow and ice, glassing over the roof under Sorley's feet.
I'm accelerating the timeline of our arrangement.
Sorley arched an eyebrow. Despite the sultry tone of her voice, the supplier was dressed in functional layers. She wore an armored tactical vest with vials of differently colored substances where magazines would be, heavy cargo pants with a pistol strapped to her thigh, a short sword and dagger, both with matching obsidian hilts on her left hip, a silver bracer with a jade stone on her left wrist, and a matching brass bracer with a gleaming orange stone on her right. The gaps between her garments were covered in a black bodysuit, except for her collar and shoulders, where intricate silver linework stood out in stark contrast to her crimson skin. It wasn't the horns that swept back along her skull poking out from her tousled black hair, the thick tail fitted with a sickle, or the hooves clacking against the roof that caught Sorley most off guard. It was the pair of ever-shifting, multifaceted eyes boring into his. One more time.
I'm accelerating the timeline. Easto told me what you did. The compassion you showed for Leap. The beating you gave that sad excuse of a man. Your face-off with Viscal. The impression you made on the press.
And
you've gained the notice of the top hero in the world, the ire of Brandau, and aren't licensed with the GSO yet. What we have is a small window of opportunity for you to act unnoticed, and we're going to leverage it.
The supplier drew 2 vials from her vest, stepped almost uncomfortably close, and offered them to Sorley. One of the vials looked to have the same concoction he'd taken just the day before, and the other was filled with a liquid that seemed to shift between a pastel green and a pearlescent yellow. I haven't adjusted to my new powers yet. Is another boost...
I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Grimmerson.
The supplier pushed his chin up with her finger. The mask made by the suit flipped back, revealing most of his face.
That is a booster, but that is a stabilizer and a potent one. You're going to drink them both. Right here, right now.
Sorley pulled his chin away from the supplier's hand. Why now? Sorley took a step back. The supplier matched his stride, keeping the space between them small.
Because, little Raven, the power dormant within you, and that was recently awakened, is unstable. You're going to have enemies coming for you from every side, and if you can't hold your ground, they will overwhelm you.
She was practically nose to nose with him at this point. Hold your ground. What does that have to do with these? And if this isn't a boost, then what the fuck is it? The supplier paused and took a step back.
It's a catalyst.
Made out of old scotch and cigars?
No, Sorley.
Then what is it?
It's your blood.
What?
Did I stutter?
What does that mean?
It means that heroism is in your blood. You were born for this, Sorley Grimmerson.
Before Sorley could open his mouth to ask what again, the supplier interrupted him.
I have a dossier for you. Freefall's information. He'll be at GSO HQ in 1 week for an annual review. You don't get the dossier until I watch you drink what is in those vials. This is likely your only shot at Freefall without seeking him out first.
Without a second thought, Sorley slammed back the vial of blood, then the stabilizer. It was the same stale bourbon with a full cigar's worth of ash taste, but the stabilizer was something else. It was almost like some sort of fruit extract and filtered water that cleansed away the entirety of the awfulness that preceded it.
So, how do you feel?
Sorley measured his response. He didn't feel any different. I feel fine. The words caught in his throat as his heart slammed rapidly and repeatedly into his ribcage. His veins were on fire, his vision was shrouded by non-existent smoke, and the sound of roaring flames filled his ears.
You are my vessel.
Sorley couldn't tell whose it was, if it was a man or a woman, someone he knew, or a stranger. But it felt familiar. I am.
You are the one born crest of the raven, blessed by the Morgan, and whose justice is spurred by revenge.
I guess.
Receive my blessing. Inherit my name.
Sorley's vision spun into darkness as a single word echoed in his head.
Vidar.
Once Sorley woke up and Isto explained to him why he was laid up in the lawyer's lavish guest room, the blonde-haired man got down to business.
All right, Grim. We have 1 week to prepare. Find the limits of whatever new powers you have, go over the dossier, and plan. Follow me.
He strode out of the room, expensive loafers clicking on the tile, with Sorley a couple of paces behind him. For an apartment in a multiplex, even for the nicer part of King's Goff, it was massive. The guest room had been bigger than Sorley's entire apartment. Normally, he would have scoped the place out, tried to figure out what he could about Isto by observing the knickknacks and keepsakes in the space as he observed them. It was all noise. A front to throw off anyone who actually knew anything about Isto Raita. Sorley didn't know much, but he knew enough that luxury cars and magazines about the latest trends in interior design didn't fit. Where are we going?
To take a look at what you can do now. We can't do that very well up here. Too many unknowns and too much stuff for you to break. We're heading downstairs. You can cut loose down there.
Downstairs?
That's what I said.
Isto walked over to a service elevator, slid open the creaky iron doors, and stepped into the lift, then leveled an expectant look at Sorley. The young super followed the lawyer into the lift and stuck his hands in the pockets of the sweatpants he woke up in. Someone had dressed him in normal clothes. The fit of the black sweats and white t-shirt wasn't seamless like the jeans and other apparel the suit had made for him. Isto pressed the button labeled B, slid the doors shut, and waited for a beat before the elevator shuddered and started to descend. I don't get it. Isto looped his thumbs through the dark green suspenders resting over the white button-down shirt he was wearing and snapped them against his chest.
Don't get what, Grim?
Any of it, really. You've got connections to supers like Remedy. More money than anyone I know. The supplier was packing all sorts of hardware and cleared out Atreyu's ice because she felt like it. Why are you helping me?
This is the part where I'm supposed to ask you if you want the truth or some flowery bullshit, right? We're not helping you. We're helping ourselves through you.
That sounds an awful lot like we're using you to me.
Look, Grim, there are just some things that you shouldn't do on your own. Like the lawsuit, right? You have some basic semblance of the law from the street-level test, but you're not suited to sit in a courtroom. Similarly, I shouldn't be going around finding shitbags like Cody and giving them what for.
You shouldn't? Sorley remembered how easily Isto had removed his hand from the lapel of the lawyer's jacket and sent him sliding across the hospital floor just 2 days prior.
Right.
The elevator's arrival tone interrupted Sorley's next question.
Here we are.
Isto stepped off the elevator into a dingy but expansive space. It was an abandoned underground hangar. There were racks of ancient firearms, boxes of matching ammunition, bayonets, and machetes. Sorley was just a step behind. What is this?
It's an old bomb shelter. Made for a pretty solid foundation for the building, actually. Should be able to handle anything you can dish out.
Uh-huh. How old is it?
Bomb shelters like these got popular in the 1950s. They were dropped into backyards of paranoid old men with too much money across the country almost overnight. Quite the spectacle.
Sounds like you were there. Isto ignored Sorley's remark and snapped a finger. A mannequin-esque dummy sporting combat fatigues shuddered and shambled toward Sorley.
Go on and hit that thing as hard as you can.
Sorley squared off with the mannequin, set his feet, and delivered a crushing hook into the center of its chest, caving it in and sending the thing flying. Not bad. Sorley rolled his shoulder. The target slid to a stop on its back, at least 50 feet away.
Terrible.
What are you talking about? Isto shot to his feet, stormed toward Sorley, and snapped his finger again, awakening another training golem, this one roughly the size of a small house. The lawyer took one step past Sorley toward the thing and cocked his fist back. The air around him shimmered with baleful green hues as he drove the entirety of his weight into the mannequin behind his fist with a primal shout of violence. The impact of the blow resounded throughout the entire shelter, sending guns tumbling from their places on the shelves and rattling ammunition in its container. It reduced the pristine sleeve of Isto's pressed shirt to ribbons. The emerald aura receded, and Isto let out a breath, adjusted his tie, and turned to Sorley again.
I said, as hard as you can, didn't I?
Sorley opened his mouth to answer, but couldn't take his eyes away from the shattered remains of the colossal dummy embedded 6 feet into the solid concrete wall on the other end of the shelter. You sure did, but if you can do that, why am I the one fighting freefall?
I've explained this already. Plus, Freefall is the one who killed your mother. I just think he's a rotten hero. That's hardly a good enough reason to kill someone, isn't it?
Sorley was gobsmacked. How is he so composed?
Grim, the supplier told me that you questioned your first boost. Do you remember that?
It was almost literally the day before yesterday. Yes, I remember.
How is this a boost? Those were the words you used?
And?
Think about it like this, Grim. You're a sports car, and your absolute refusal to acknowledge your pain and emotions, other than your rage, are 6 tons of shit chained to your frame. Your first boost was the chain coming off. The one you just got was the engine you were intended to have dropped under the hood, and the stabilizer was a full tank of gas.
So,
that's why the suit had to compensate for you. That's why the suit had to compensate for you, Sorley, and why it doesn't have to anymore. When you're ready, we'll put the suit back on and see what you're really capable of.
At that, Isto snapped his fingers, animating another golem.
Don't make me repeat myself.
1 week later.
Good, Grim. Nice counter. Keep on the offensive. Don't let it find a rhythm. Stagger your attacks. Don't get predictable.
Over the course of the week, Sorley had graduated to colossi-sized golems. While Sorley and Isto hadn't pinpointed the exact upper limit of his powers, he bottomed out at City Guardian level, without the suit. The smell of smoke and briar roses preceded a singular clop of a hoof on the concrete floor.
Don't go distracting him. Watch the left!
The young hero's senses were sharp. While he may not have caught the smell, his footing had faltered at the sound of the supplier's distant approach.
How's he doing? I think he's ready. The world is going to see the real Grim Raven today. I think he's the one, Mal. I really do. What makes you think that, Isto? He doesn't care about the rankings, the ratings, publicity. any of the bullshit that made heroes a commodity. For him, it's about doing the right thing, not the lawful or legally correct thing. That, with the potential you've so carefully unlocked, should be enough to see it all through. Is that pride I hear, Isto Writer? It just might be. Still a big softy underneath the sarcasm and nonchalance. Certainly not. But will he have the fortitude to see it through? That we'll have to see.
Why do you keep calling it the Montoya method? This is just me starting a fight? Sorley shouted, oh. Let me start that again. Why do you keep calling it the Montoya method? This is just me starting a fight? Sorley shouted for what had to be been the third time.
Because there are steps, Grim. Now listen this time.
Fine.
Step 1, polite greeting. Go.
Hello.
Step 2, name.
My name is Sorley Grimmerson.
Step 3, relevant personal link.
You killed my mother.
Step 4, manage expectations.
I'm gonna kick your teeth in.
See, that wasn't so hard, was it?
So that's the whole plan? I introduce myself to Freefall, threaten him, then what?
Then you make good on the threat and beat him to death. That way, it's a promise.
And I'm just supposed to do this at GSO HQ in front of Viscol and who knows how many other supers?
I know how it sounds.
It sounds like suicide.
Do you have that little confidence in yourself?
What?
You heard me, Grim. We've been training for almost a week straight. Your powers are developing ahead of projections, and you want this fight, right? Do you think I would have wasted my time here with you if we thought you'd lose?
We? Who's we? You and the supplier? You two are more powerful than I am. Why is it me doing this and not you?
This again? For fuck's sake, Grim, follow the plan. Kill Freefall, get out alive, and then the supplier and I will sit down with you and explain everything, okay?
You haven't even told me the plan! Isto rolled his eyes and exhaled sharply, his Viridian aura flaring for the briefest of moments.
The plan is simple. You go to the award ceremony post-review, approach Freefall, employ the Montoya method, take it outside if you can, kill the bastard, and leave.
I meant the grand plan. But fine. I have 2 more questions.
It's pretty straightforward.
Not about the plan, I get that. It's something else.
What is it, Grim?
Who's the Morrigan? And what does Vidar mean?
Where did you hear those names?
When I got the last boost, there was a voice somewhere that said them.
What did the voice say exactly, Sorley?
Isto hadn't referred to Sorley by name since he'd decided on his superhero title. It said I was the one born under the crest of the Raven, blessed by the Morrigan, and whose justice is spurred by vengeance. Then it said something about receiving its blessing and inheriting its name. That's when I heard Vidar. Isto had started pacing back and forth as Sorley explained, nodding along all the while.
I know your mom passed when you were little. What do you know about your father, Sorley?
Not much. Why?
And your mother? She didn't have superpowers?
I imagine if she did, she wouldn't have died when she did. Why?
That's curious. She could have been a carrier. Had recessive traits.
Will you stop muttering and explain what the fuck is going on?
We'll put this on the table for the little meeting after you pull this off. Now suit up. You've got places to be.
Sorely perched in the same spot he had before, crashing through Audrey's window just a week prior. It felt like months had gone by, and the 7 days, with all the training and preparation leading up to this day. Sorely knew he was strong. His powers were at their peak. He was ready. So why can't I shake this?
Hey, fella. Come here often?
Despite his nerves, Sorely didn't jump. Leap's teleportation had a signature sound and feel to it. He knew she was coming before she'd even arrived. Only been here one other time. The view's nice, though.
Oh? Are we going for a distant, broody or nihilistic tonight?
Neither. Just trying to focus.
On?
Sorely turned to look at Leap, the domino mask firmly in place. She was standing closer than he thought she would be, and there was no mistaking the concern hiding in the slight upturn of her eyebrows and the creases at the corners of her mouth. Is she worried about me? I've got a couple of rounds to go tonight, and I'm not sure if I'm ready.
Funny. I wasn't planning on stealing anything tonight. You stepping out on me?
Sorley's back straightened at the comment. What?
I'm joking, love. Who are you squaring off with down there?
Leap gestured at the distant GSO building. Sorely weighed the question. What's the worst that could happen? Free fall.
That's a good one, Grim. How about the real answer now?
That is the real answer. The severity of his tone cut Leap's laugh short.
Grim, I've run away from that maniac before. Even with what you showed me when we fought, what Audrey told me. You don't win that fight.
Any doubt Sorely carried about Leap's concern vanished. She was worried about him.
Why him?
It's personal.
Personal enough to throw your life away?
What's with all the questions? Why do you care? Leap didn't flinch.
Because someone's got to if you don't. You saved my friend and helped me when you didn't have to. I have a hard time believing that there isn't someone you care about whose life would be worse without you around.
There isn't. That bastard took everything away from me. All that I've done up until now has been to get him back for it.
Everything? Saving Audrey from Cody? Letting me walk? That was all for revenge? Because that would be a whole lot of coincidence, Grim Raven. Too much, I think. I tell you what, love. I'll keep an eye on the festivities, and if that bloke looks like he's going to kill you, I'll get you out. Then you can explain how saving a couple of damsels in distress got you to your vengeance. Deal?
Fine. Thanks. Sorely resisted the urge to take a step back as Leap drew closer. She planted a kiss on his cheek and teleported. Sorely heard her exit down in Audrey's apartment and shook his head. Definitely something to follow up on later. Sorely launched off the multiplex and rocketed into the sky. Through the layer of smoke and clouds that obfuscated the stars. His powers had evolved significantly in a short time, but flight was not among his suite. His strength, dexterity, reflexes, perception, and durability were all far beyond mortal capability. But he had nothing like Atreyu's elemental control, Leap's teleportation, Panzer's astounding command over projectiles, or whatever the fuck Istozora let him do. It would have to be enough. As he plummeted toward GSO HQ, he planted his feet against one of the looming skyscrapers and slid down, putting the brakes on his momentum enough that he could spring back and forth between buildings and scaffolding without damaging them to reach the ground. GSO grunts were on him in a second, leveling their weapons at him with a synchronized chambering of rounds. His suit was already at work, highlighting the soldiers, their weapons, and rating their level of threat as moot. Their weapons versus his enhanced resilience and the protections offered by the suit came out heavily in his favor. The suit did highlight one blaring red threat: Panzer. The familiar mechanical chambering of Angry Daddy reached his ears.
Rookie?
Ma'am. Panzer smirked and lowered the weapon, holstering it at her side.
Glad you made it. Didn't think you would when you did an RSVP.
Sorley kept his posture level, caught off guard by the statement. Haven't been home in a few days.
Stand down.
The weapons were lowered, and the threat indicators vanished from his vision. Thanks for that.
Oh, I'm guessing you didn't see your acceptance letter either. It didn't come back as undeliverable from your apartment address.
Sorley's jaw tensed as a chill shot up his spine. He had to maintain his composure. He left a P.O. box as to where to send his street-level license to if he passed the exam. Panzer stating that it was his apartment address it had been sent to meant that the GSO knew who he really was. Guess not.
I looked into you, Rookie, and I have a fair guess or two about what you're doing here. I can't pretend to know how you feel, but I'm telling you, don't do this. He'll kill you.
This was the only shot he would get at Freefall without seeking him out halfway across the Western Federation. King's Goff was familiar territory, his territory. He wasn't going to get a better opportunity. Not if I kill him first. Good to see you again. Sorley walked around Panzer and toward the crowd of press gathered on the stairs of the GSO facility. His heart pounded in his ears as he approached.
So there I am, 6 stories up, and there are bad guys all over the place, and I'm just bouncing all the way all between them. It's great, I tell you. Next question.
Freefall was standing at the top of the stairs, enthusiastically engaging with the crowd of reporters, in a brand new crash suit. If Freefall's naming convention were held, this would be his Mark VI suit. It was slimmer than the Mark V, which didn't say much for it in terms of raw mass. The hero's superhuman strength made moving inside the boulder of metal and tech possible. His powers made it effortless and deadly. There was easily 7 tons of crash suit on the man. The colossal training dummies that Sorley had worked with, that Isto had sent flying in broken pieces, weighed about 5. He'd just arrived, and all of the studying, all of the variables he'd considered, everything that he'd known for sure, everything Sorley had planned for, had changed. He may as well have gone in blind. Fuck it. I have to take my shot. Sorley shouldered his way through the crowd and up the stairs. As soon as the first reporter cried,
Hey! It's Grim Raven!
the rest parted around him, forming a corridor straight to Freefall.
Hey, I heard about you. You're the one that's gonna wake up society, right? Sorry to say, Rookie, but you don't get to dictate what society thinks. That's reserved for the best, not street-level trash.
The reporters ate up Freefall's jeering and bravado, laughing at Sorley with him. Tyler Snow! The boom of his voice, amplified by the suit, drowned out the noise of laughter and gained Freefall's undivided attention. Hello! Sorley advanced up the stairs. The GSO already knew who he was. What did it matter if the press did too? My name is Sorely Grimerson. 12 years ago, your bravado and failure as a hero killed my mother and 3,052 other people. It's time to pay. Freefall took in a breath, about to bellow his retort. True to form, if it wasn't someone that had acknowledged as a threat, Snow was content to talk smack. With a roar, Sorely lunged with the full force of his anger and all the power he could push through his legs, shattering the steps beneath him, and drove his fist into the crash suit that rolled up in front of Freefall's face. Sorely's fists bombarded the crash suit like a repeating cannon as he pressed the attack, each impact forcing Freefall to slide back. Freefall lurched to the left, sending Sorely crashing through the front door of the GSO facility as he missed. Then he rebounded and rocketed off, away from the building. Get back here! Sorely took 2 long strides and shot off after him. Isto's plan had been to take the fight outside, and with what they'd known about the Mark V crash suit, that was the right call. With the unknown surrounding the Mark VI suit, Sorely wanted to push the fight indoors on GSO property, where Freefall's collateral wouldn't be tolerated. It seemed that the new suit allowed Freefall to redirect momentum with a level of precision and finesse that was not possible before. That means... The crash suit seemed to bounce off nothing as it rocketed back at Sorely mid-air. Sorely's reflexes told him to dodge, something he couldn't do while soaring through the sky. He brought up his arms and legs to guard as 7 tons of steel intersected with the momentum of his own leap, amplifying the impact. Freefall adjusted his angle of approach at the last second, spinning upward and sending Sorely straight down. The impact shook Sorely all the way down to his bones, many more times over than his impact on the concrete below. He'd seen a similar maneuver before and knew he had to move before the follow-up came.
Geronimo!
Freefall spun the crash suit in the opposite direction and plummeted after Sorely. He twisted and dove toward the wall of the crater he'd made when he impacted the ground, hitting with enough force that he made a second, smaller crater within it, just deep enough to conceal his body. Freefall crashed and spun in place, inches away from Sorely's boots. A week ago, he would have waited to attack again or tried to gain more space to make room and chamber a punch or kick. Sorely adjusted, pointed the tips of his fingers at the crash suit, and watched, waiting for the dent he'd made in its surface with his initial attack to come around again. Then collapsed his fingers and weight into a 6-inch punch, arresting Freefall's spinning momentum.
You're a natural fighter. No one can deny that, Grim. Your speed, strength, reflexes, and will to win are all impressive.
Why do I feel like there's a but coming?
But you've never had formal training, and it shows. Your movements are too obvious. You need too much room to generate power behind your strikes, and that's not always going to be an option. A trained fighter will see that and use it to pick you apart.
Can you get to the point already? Freefall is here in 5 days.
We're going to fix that.
How?
Tell me, Grim, have you ever heard of Bruce Lee?
What the fuck?
Sorely unfurled his fist, laid his fingertips against the metal of the crash suit, and collapsed into another punch, this time sending out a spider web of cracks in a foot circling the point of impact.
Crash suit hull integrity compromised.
Yeah, no shit!
The crash course in the way of the intercepting fist was paying off. Sorely felt the crash suit shifting under his fist, trying to spin up the momentum generating gyros contained inside. He adjusted, planting both feet firmly in the recently made cracks and anchoring his back against the cement. Sorely rained blow after blow down on the center of the dent he'd made in the suit, each strike within a half inch of the prior.
Let go!
The gyros whined with high effort against the pressure of Sorley's legs. Good idea. Sorley pressed his legs down and apart. The sound of tearing metal reached his ears. His relentless assault on the crash suit's shell, the force pressed down to keep it in place, and Freefall's desperate attempts to escape had created a significant amount of room for Sorley to maneuver in. A significant amount of room to generate power. Sorley raised both hands over his head, fists clenched, and slammed down on the suit with everything he had. The crash suit split open like an overripe melon.
Eject sequence initiated.
Tyler Snow rocketed past Sorley and drove a heavy iron boot under his jaw, sending him through the concrete and ejecting him through it onto the street. Sorley's vision exploded with sparks against a black backdrop, and he tasted copper in his mouth.
Round 2, rookie.
Before Sorley could shake the fog from his vision, the sound of turbines and flames sprouting from the engines reached him. The heat and pressure in the air, coupled with the sounds of the engines drawing closer, indicated that freefall ejecting was not a sign of his retreat. On instinct, Sorley rolled to the right. The same metal boot colliding with his gut sent him sprawling, made him retch, and forced his eyes open. Freefall stood in a casual boxing stance, 30 feet away, bouncing toe-to-toe aloft on blue flames sprouting from the boots of his gleaming power armor. This definitely wasn't in the plan. No villain had ever forced Freefall out of his crash suit, and the file he'd gotten from the supplier said nothing about what he was looking at either. Sorley struggled to his feet and brought his hands up just in time to intercept another blow from Freefall's rocket boots. He managed to stay on his feet this time, but it felt like someone taking a sledgehammer right straight down on his bones.
12 years ago, huh? I think I remember what you were talking about. The shitty little neighborhood where I fought Thorn Titan? Now that was a fight. And I tell you, it's like no other fight that I've ever fought.
Sorley's arms wouldn't rise above his waist. He'd have to dodge the next attack. Except there wasn't one. Not immediately. Freefall was monologuing. He had been for at least 10 seconds now.
And because I'm going to make you a bloody, chunky smear on the pavement in just a minute, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Sorley Grimerson.
Classic villain bullshit. Sorley's blood ran cold.
Thorn Titan and I, well, we're old buddies. No one ever really wondered why I couldn't stop or catch him 100% of the time. You see, one hand washes the other. Thorn presents as one of the most dangerous villains in the country. I beat him up every once in a while and call him my nemesis. Get filthy rich and famous. He gets away sometimes and cuts me in on a percentage of the take. Your little neighborhood, collateral.
Sorley ground his teeth as his heart rate picked up.
All those people that died, more like an investment. When I brought Thorn Titan in, I hit single digits in the National Protectorate. The bounty on him could have rebuilt that shit heap twice over.
Sorley couldn't hear the gloating over the sounds of his own ragged breathing and his heart pounding in his ears. The name pounded in his head, accompanied by a vision of a man standing in the maw of a great beast. He held its fanged mouth open and slashed at it wildly with a blade. What am I looking at?
Revenge.
Sorley's vision snapped back as Freefall closed on him, curled up like a meteor. His hands came up on instinct, all feeling of fatigue gone, replaced by a numbing fury. He roared as he caught Freefall, stopping his attack, and attempted to hold him in place. A burst of fire from the rocket boot sent freefall vertical, and a shift in his momentum looped the hero around Sorley's back. As Grim Raven rounded on him, 3 lines of fire burned into the back of his hand, forging the rune of Tyr. Hand closing on instinct, Sorley swung his fist to meet freefall. His eyes went wide when a blade made of burning feathers cleaved through both the power armor and Tyler Snow, leaving the hero in 2 even halves on the pavement.
Yes, you are my vessel.
Will Sorley survive the incoming heroes? Will Leap hold true to her word and get him to safety? Just who are Isto Raita and the Supplier? Find out on the next Anti-Hero Chronicles.
Rock.
Hey.
That was fucking hardcore, man.
Thank you.
Sick.
That was
Wow.
I'm glad you guys got to experience that one. Will you be a warlock?
100%.
So yeah, that was intense. We got I mean, that guy's dead, right?
Oh yeah, he's just 100%.
Super dead.
It's kind of hard to tell in superhero stuff, but
Yeah. Well,
pretty
for
sure.
Tyler Snow, being cut in half is splat and no more. He's not coming back from that one.
Oh, look at that. You're getting the compliments here, man. Well, yeah, so what do you think? Are we got another episode coming in a month?
Oh, we certainly do. Don't you worry about that.
All right.
There's a lot more coming.
Hopefully Annie will be back to take on the female characters again.
Yeah. I mean, you do a great job, Jeff.
I think Annie does better though.
I mean, like, natural parts of that, it's
yeah,
fine.
they're natural things. Yeah. But yeah, dude. Well, the reason we did the double wide today is because we had to miss last week. But yeah, I guess in the next month we'll be doing another one, and I think our next SBTL we're doing The Last American Fork, right?
That's right.
So, yeah.
The finale.
So as that series is ending, we have this one just getting started, basically. So I'm pretty excited to see where Sorley goes from here, how his powers develop. If he gets new gear, that'd be cool.
Oh, he will.
And
that's part of the hero upgrade, You gotta get a new suit.
This demon guy that I'm playing seems kind of cool. His little inner voice.
Acer.
Yeah, the little voice in his head.
You are my vessel. You are my vessel.
Bonus points if anybody gets the mythology references. Just saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'd like to see that in the comments if you guys can point it out. Well, all right. That was our Anti-Hero Chronicles segment. Thank you again, Joe. And
of course.
Yeah, we have one more segment for you guys today, but you two can peace out if you want to. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, y'all. Thank you all for hanging
everybody.
out. That was a blast, Joe. Well done.
I'm super glad, and it was both exciting and terrifying to voice something in my own work.
You did great.
Oh,
thank
dude,
you.
And
great.
The sound effects were so good too. Like
Yes.
I think Ahmed is honing in on it.
Yeah. Ahmed and I, we spent a pretty significant amount of time. I think we met 3 times to put all the sounds together for that.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Yeah. It was great.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Well,
all right.
thanks, guys. You guys have a good one. And we have one more segment from the SBTL Classic Poll. So, what do we have here? We have Alex Kozlowski's Alpha Physics, Wagga. Book 1, Wagga. Wait, Octopod? What is that? Hold on. Let me find this. Alex Kozlowski. So he sent in 2 different requests. I think one's chapter 1, one's chapter 7, I think. So I'm just gonna go to chapter 1. And you guys, this alpha physics book, for whatever reason, I hadn't heard of it until today, but it is killing on the Amazon store. Let me go ahead and put the link in the comments. But it's got like 640 ratings, and it's only been out since April 15th. So there must be something very special about this book. I haven't done any pre-read of it, but I do know that Mr. Kozlowski is an Aussie. And it says here, Adrian is the main character, 40 years old, who had his body reduced to early 20s. Technically Aussie, but that does not matter too much. He's a project manager stuck 1,000 miles from his family in a post-apocalyptic world with no cars. DK, I'm fairly certain all other characters in the scene are so short-term that they can be voiced however. Okay, so, Tori Wilson says he's already read it. If you guys like what I do with it here today, go check it out on Amazon and let Mr. Alex know where you heard it. So I'm gonna try it with the Aussie accent. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be at least a rough start. I think once I get my rhythm going, I'll be all right. But Aussie's not a strength of mine. But I always like challenges. I always like to challenge myself for these SBTL readings when I can. So yeah, thanks Alex Kozlowski for requesting this. And yeah, I don't know, maybe after this read, I don't think he has an Audible. He has an audiobook on Amazon or on Audible yet. I don't know if he's already made a deal with anybody. But yeah, bug him if you guys like my reading and see if you can get him to come over to the dark side here at Soundbooth Theater. All right, here goes. There was a full nuclear family in there. Dad, Mum, and daughters. They were trying to hold off the monster and failing. They were trying to hold off the monster and failing. If they fought 5-on-1, maybe together they could drive it off. Reassessing the octopod, Adrian became acutely aware of its strength and vitality advantage compared to its vulnerability to fire and dark. Adrian versus the monster was closely balanced. What do you guys think? Doing okay, right? Their lives were on the line. He could help, so he should. If he attacked, and the man and wife came out and helped, if they fought with him, then they could probably win, providing they were not completely useless fighters. Subconsciously. Okay, wait a minute. I read a little bit from earlier, and it seemed like it was first person. Now it feels like it's third person. Which, oh wow, this is chapter 33. Well, that's lucky. Now I can just do the character as an Aussie instead of the narration. So I will spare you guys that pain. Their lives were on the line. He could help, so he should. If he attacked and the man and wife came out and helped, if they fought with him, then they could probably win, providing they were not completely useless fighters. Subconsciously, his feet had stopped moving. They had not moved for tens of precious seconds while the drama was unfolding. A hero would have leaped. Hell, a decent person would already have joined the fight. The minor tentacles were wiggling in excitement. If he fought and they ran, then it was back to him fighting one-on-one, and he had a pretty good idea how that would play out. His life for theirs. With another great thump, the door bowed further, but it held. It's kind of hard to tell who's speaking here, but I'm going to assume it's Adrian. Lisa! Janet! Run! No! We need to save Jamie! Let go of my sister! If he died, then what about his own kids? Why should he throw away his life to save these strangers? There was another crash against the door. This time he heard the wood crack. The door opened more than a foot, and the waiting tentacles inched forward. The 2 tentacles going through the right window started thrashing more violently. "Run! Leave us! Lisa, run!" Janet's voice, the mum. "I will save Jamie!" Now was the time to act. A couple of fireballs to distract, and then flee. Buy them time. If he attacked, even as a distraction, it would come after him. Could he escape? It was as fast as him, and possibly faster. Doing nothing was despicable. Doing something was death. "Run now! I can't hold it! Lisa!" I really don't know who's talking here. The right windows exploded outwards. One tentacle held the limp body of a young girl. Her hands were floppy, and the thick tentacle that had wrapped around her covered her mouth completely. She was squeezing her eyes shut. The other limb had snagged a teenage girl. That tentacle was hooked around her leg. The teenager was grabbing onto everything around her to stop the pull. A trail of blood extended behind her, yet still she fought. "It's got them! Lisa! Jamie!" I really don't know who's talking. It was too much. If he died, then he would die trying to make a difference. Running closer, he formed a dark missile in his hands. If he could have dumped 100 mana into the spell, he would have, but this spell restricted him to 30. Adrian targeted the missile at the tentacle holding Lisa. He hoped the wither effect would force it to release the girl. The missile flew. Instinctively, a second missile formed to target the tentacle holding Jamie. Halting his headlong rush, a fireball was forming. The dark missile slammed home into the feeler holding Lisa, striking only half a meter up from where it held the girl. The area around the impact blackened as the wither effect started taking hold. For the first time, the octopod's attention switched towards him, and he greeted it by releasing the fireball at the center of its mass. The 4th tentacle hit the door. It exploded open with no resistance, and through the sudden open space burst a portly, middle-aged man with an axe. He swung it hard at the 4th tentacle in front of him. The man was screaming. Lisa tried to grab the window frame as she went past. The tentacle was too strong and tore her away without difficulty. The shattered glass stuck in the frame shredded one of her hands. The mum came sprinting out the door, holding 2 massive kitchen knives in her hands. Another fireball flashed from his hands, targeting a different mass of tentacles. The second dark missile struck home, hitting even closer to Jamie than the first had with Lisa. The tentacle holding Lisa spasmed, releasing her. The dark stain had spread through the entire width of the tentacle, and everything beyond that point was now a flopping, useless dead weight. Lisa, now free, ran towards her sister. The octopod, suddenly under assault from multiple angles, abandoned the young girls to focus on the threats. At the back door, the 5th and 6th tentacles flashed forward, looping around the man. The axe fell helplessly from his pinned arms. The 4th went after the women through the axe attack. The 4th went after the women through the axe attack. The fourth went after the women through the axe attack had done a surprising amount of damage to it. The adults were yelling in helpless desperation. The other 3 tentacles spun towards him. The octopod had recognized him as a threat. The fireballs slammed home. The octopod was coming towards him. Despite the gap separating them, the tentacles had the reach, that is, apart from the one that had held Lisa. For that appendage, fully a third of it hung useless. There was a tearing, and that third dropped right off. Dark missiles were the optimal choice. The fireballs had singed a lot of the smaller tentacles, destroying them, but the damage seemed lower. The dark missile, however, formed slowly. Throwing himself backwards, he avoided the 2 tentacles that lashed out towards him. As he fell backwards, he kept the magic active, but he had to drop the spear. This was not even a contest. It was going to kill him then and there. He hoped his death would provide the family with enough time to escape. The missile fired off as he tumbled head over heels. He had aimed it just before his desperate leap backwards. More scrapes and bruises, only 50 mana left. Scrambling away from the octopod on hands and knees, he needed to get some distance. There was the sound of something heavy smashing into the ground just behind him. Getting to his feet briefly, the creature was following him. Good. The family would get time to get away. No. Bad. Emily. I died doing my best. Get behind a tree. Putting something solid between him and the monster running around behind him might be enough. The monster was still coming. The nearest tree to him was reduced to kindling as all three of the octopod's closest appendages smashed down upon it. The dark missile was ready. He linked it to the remaining long tentacle and let it go. It focused exclusively on him. Beyond the creature, he could see the family getting together and running around the side of the house. Jamie was being carried by her dad. The creature rotated, bringing fresh, undamaged tentacles to face him. An image hit him. Run, in big, bold lettering. There was no need. It was the only thought in his mind. There was fence coming up. Judging the distance, he had no time to go through it. He had to hurdle it. There were the sounds of breaking trees behind him. Jumping. Adrian's foot caught the top wire. Nothing he could do. Out of control, hands breaking the fall, landing hard, probably broke his right arm. There would surely be grazes on his face. Already scrambling forward, broken arm or not, he needed to flee. Falling, crawling, running forwards. Something whacked into his back leg, sending him tumbling forward and sideways. So much pain. Looking back, he saw the octopod watching him from 10 meters away, assessing his condition, planning its next move. It almost looked like it wanted to keep him alive to drag back to its young. If it came, he would use the last of his mana on fire hands. Chapter 34. A tentacle came down too fast for him to respond, slamming into his right leg. More pain. It felt like the pain was lighting up his eyes. It was that intense. It radiated from his legs all the way to the base of his head. He forgot the broken arm. As he lay there in agony, the octopod turned around and went back the way it had come. It was going to catch the escaping family. No! The tiny fireball launched from his hands, hitting some small tentacles on the back. The octopod hesitated for a moment, but kept going. It was going to kill the family despite his best efforts. It was moving in a lopsided manner, with over half of its main appendages showing significant damage. Even its inherent healing had suffered. The fight had hurt it, but not enough. Glancing briefly at his legs, he wished that he had not. The one caught in the second strike was noticeably flattened from the middle of the thigh to below the knee. Feeling so sick, Adrian shut the eyes. He had lost. So much pain, and the family was going to die anyway. He was just not powerful enough. Anger radiated from the interface. Raw, explosive fury. A bird pushing a reluctant chick out of its nest to make it fly. A jockey whipping a horse to make it run faster. A fat man screaming, "Move!" at a pedestrian before barging into the young man and knocking him flying just before a semi-trailer exploded through the space they had previously held. More of the anger. Why? What? The fat man again. The picture zoomed in closer, everything in intense high definition. "Move!" The voice thundering, then zooming to enlarge the picture again. "Move!" Even louder this time. The slightly yellow teeth had irregular edges, drifting closer. "Move!" Like a jet engine in volume, spit flying out. One arm functioned, so he used it to commando crawl forward. The ruined leg was dragging behind. In the distance, there was screaming. The octopod had got them. Approval had replaced anger. So much pain. Lowering the head. Anger coming back. "Shut up! I can't do this." The fat man zoomed in close to the picture in full high definition. "Move!" One arm crawl again, legs dragging. Approval. Doing it again, somehow pushing through the pain. Another meter. 2 meters. 3 meters. The screaming had stopped, but all there was for him was the agony of each movement, getting away so he could avoid the octopod when it came back. Adrian's autonomy was denied abruptly. Why would I not do that? Adrian's autonomy was denied abruptly. Ambushers fade, and stasis snapped on. Every component maximized to its full potential. It beat moving, so he added his will to the skills. Keep away, hide, fade. His body was his own once more. The octopod was back, sniffing around. It was too strong. Half of Adrian's mana had regenerated. But that would not be enough. From the sounds, it was searching for him over 50 meters away. Had he really moved that far? Behind him, there were sounds of frustration and the smashing of trees. The movements were not coming towards him. With shock, he realized that he was going to survive. Almost 2 hours passed as his wounds healed. The octopod was long gone, and other animals had padded nearby him. The sun rose over the horizon. That was intense. So yeah, that is the read for today. That's the request for today. The SBT Classic poll. So again, thank you, Alex Kozlowski, for requesting this book, Alpha Physics, Book 1, Wagga. It's doing really well, so I'm assuming people really like it. So go check it out. I mean, that's a really cool cover. It seems like a surreal, like kind of a surreal book. The way that the writing style and everything. But yeah, I imagine it's going to be a fun time. So go check it out, guys. And if you liked my reading of it, tell Alex. And that's all we have for today. So thank you all for coming and hanging out with us while we goof off in our booths. It was a pleasure. It always is. And watch out for the next Soundbooth Theater Live 2 weeks from today. Bye, everybody.